And I want to express my gratitude to them, especially the senator, for making the journey and for wanting to seek solutions. And that really has been the focus of every CODEL to the border that I have either led or participated in. What we have at our front door here in El Paso is what we've seen for years and years and years. And those of you who have covered the news in El Paso know this very well. This is not a new situation. It evolves and changes with every given year. But we have to address the challenges that we face, because every person involved in this situation, every human being involved in this situation, whether it's the migrants or the personnel, we all deserve to make sure that we deliver on humane and good solutions. And so I welcome my colleagues for that discussion and that conversation as they begin their journey in El Paso and continue it tomorrow. With that, I will turn this over to Senator Carper for his remarks. Yeah. Senator?
I'm going just to be sort of like the MC, and then when we come to the, can I take my mask off or no?
I think so.
Okay. I'm going to be essentially the MC, and then I will have some remarks to add at the end. I want to talk about root causes, and we've had just an illuminating day. Thank you very much for your hospitality, and for to my colleagues from the House of Representatives who were nice enough to let a recovering congressman join all of them. I've known Norma probably longer than I've known Jason and Lou and Veronica, and we've had the privilege of traveling together. She probably has forgotten more about root causes than I know, but I'm going to ask her to lead off and then to introduce Lou, sweet Lou, and then to introduce Jason, and then I'll try to wrap it up. All right, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Carper, and also thank you to my wonderful colleague, Veronica Escobar, for inviting us once again, reaching out to my office. I have been to the region, both to El Salvador and to Guatemala with Senator Carper back in the day during the Obama administration. So, you know, we've during that period of time, we visited a juvenile facility, a jail in El Salvador, and he has been doing so much work in the region around juvenile delinquency and how to improve conditions for them. I'm back again here today to continue on this process of addressing the symptoms of the problems that we have in the Northern Triangle in Central America. What is causing these families to flee? Number one, all of us know what has happened in Honduras with the President Hernandez, the case that just ended in New York, with the conviction and sentencing of President Hernandez's brother, Tony Hernandez, for narco trafficking. The list of corrupt elected officials that I have requested should be coming out this week. So there will be a lot more information coming forward to my colleagues on how to help address the root cause of migration. We're never going to alleviate the problem that we see at our southern border until we begin to see improved conditions, quality of life conditions in the Northern Triangle, opportunities for education, opportunities for a future to build your own business in the region. And right now, that is not happening. That is what we're hearing from these young juveniles that we have met with here in the U.S. En español, soy la congresista Norma Torres. Estoy muy agradecida con mi colega Veronica Escobar y con el senador Carper. El senador y yo hemos viajado al Triángulo Norte, Guatemala y El Salvador ya por tiempo. Él es un experto también en el área porque ha hecho mucho trabajo. Así que la visita hoy para mí es continuar este proceso de cómo podemos mejorar las vidas de estos muchachos que están pidiendo auxilio, que están pidiendo una oportunidad para reunirse con su familia aquí, que están huyendo de condiciones horribles, muy serias en la región. Reconocemos que estos son los síntomas de los problemas que son creados por estos gobiernos en el Triángulo Norte. En Honduras tenemos un gobierno que es narcotráfico. En los otros dos países tenemos dos presidentes que están involucrados en ¿cómo se dice?
Corrupción.
En corrupción. Entonces, todos esos problemas que ellos están creando aquí no es una sorpresa para ninguno de nosotros porque estos muchachos están llegando. Quiero decir y recordarles a todos que el mejor recurso que tienen estos tres países son las vidas de estos jóvenes que nosotros estamos visitando aquí en la frontera, en estos lugares que hemos visitado. Vienen aquí a pedir una oportunidad para vivir un día más. Y con eso les presento mi colega Lou Correa, que representa un distrito en California. My colleague Lou Correa, who represents a district in California.
Thank you very much, Norma. I'm Congressman Lou Correa, represent Central Orange County, California, home to all of you know Disneyland. So today, it's a sad day, yet it's a balanced day because I, with Senator Carper, with Norma, have gone to the Triangle. I've been in a lot of these tours. And what I found today was a situation that's getting better. Better at the border. You don't see family separations. You see better conditions for the children. Yet, putting politics aside, let me say that we have not addressed the root cause of this issue. I was in the state Senate 10 years ago, and I did exactly what I did today in California 10 years ago. This issue has been going on for 20, 30 years. As a country, we know more about Afghanistan. As a nation, we know more about Iraq. As a nation, we know more about conflicts overseas. Yet we forgot about our own backyard. As a nation, 70 years ago, we created the Marshall Plan. As a nation, we rebuilt Germany, Japan. And as a nation, we've not even looked beyond our backyard. We built a wall and saying this is going to take care of it. Today, I interviewed children in Spanish in their own language. And I asked them, ¿Por qué vienen? Número uno, I can't study at home. MS-13, gangs will not let me live. I don't have a job. I'm coming to see my parents. I'm looking for a better job. They're here to see relatives that have lived here for 20 years. So you could talk about the immigration issue, reforma migratoria. It's not reflecting the issues of Central America and the U.S. So again, today I walk away saying, for 20, 30 years, we've not addressed what Norma said are the root causes. And we could easily do that. President Biden is moving that direction. Few $1 billion of investment into Central America, but that's not enough. You have to have management to make sure that money, like Norma says, doesn't end up in a Swiss bank account. You got to make sure you have economic development, democratic institutions, and make sure that people have a future to think about, to look forward to while they live at home. Brevemente en español, estoy aquí con emociones mixtas. Me gusta que ya nos separamos a los niños. Me gusta que ya se están tratando mejor. Pero estoy triste porque lo que vi hoy es lo que he visto hace 10 años. Lo que está pasando ahorita ha estado pasando por 30, 40 años. Y lo hemos ignorado. No importa qué partidos son. El problema es que enfocamos más la atención en este país, en otros países, en Afganistán, en Irak. Y se nos olvidó que tenemos problemas en Centroamérica. Se nos olvidó que nuestros vecinos tienen corrupción, no tienen trabajos. Y así esperamos que no pase nada. Hace 10 años vimos los niños. Hoy los vemos otra vez. Tenemos que ponerlos, como me dicen en mi comunidad, tenemos que ponernos las pilas y empezar a pensar cómo vamos a solucionar estos problemas. Y no nomás se trata de dinero, de billetes, tenemos que administrar, porque ya hemos visto que los presidentes de esos países no tienen la capacidad de administrarse. Hemos visto que hay mucha corrupción. Esto ya no es negocio de ellos, esto es nuestro negocio. Y si vamos a ser líderes de este mundo, de este continente, tenemos que ser apropiadamente, tomar actos apropiados. Muchas gracias.
Good evening. Jason Crow from Colorado. First of all, I want to thank Senator Carper for leading the delegation and bringing us here to have very difficult conversations about an issue that our country has faced for a long time. And again, to Veronica Escobar for hosting us and being just a wonderful host and helping shed additional light on this issue, since this is a community that I know has dealt with this issue for many, many years. I come here today as a father, somebody who spent time visiting children today, looking at those children through the eyes of as a father, and finding compassion that I think all of us as fellow humans should be able to find in our hearts as we look at the struggles of these families and these young kids searching for a better life. I also come here today as somebody that represents one of the most diverse districts in the nation, where nearly 20% of my constituents were born outside of the United States, and I have over 160 languages spoken in my community. And our community is an example of a place that when you do it right, when you embrace immigration, when you embrace refugees and those seeking to build a better life, you can have a stronger and more vibrant community because it is a source of great strength for us where I come from and where I represent, who we are, and the people that make up our community. We always talk about that as a source of strength. But we also know none of us are coming here wanting to continue to do the same thing over and over again. I didn't come to Congress to continue to do the same thing, to just keep the status quo going. And that's what this is about. This is about having the harder conversations about root causes and why this is beginning in the first place. Because by the time a child is in one of these facilities, there are very few good options left. What we are seeing over the last couple of weeks and what we're seeing in the months going forward is the very difficult transition that the Biden administration is making from a system under the Trump administration based on chaos and cruelty to a system that we're trying to implement and build out based on competence and compassion. And so I look forward to having those conversations.
Thank you. Let me just tell you a couple of quick stories. I retired Navy captain, Vietnam veteran, last Vietnam veteran serving in the United States Senate, trained as a leader from a Boy Scout at about the age of 12. And I've always believed that the key element to change, getting the kind of change that we want and need is leadership. It's always leadership. It's always not 1, 2, and 3. And Joe Biden has, for years, sought to provide leadership in an almost failed country like Colombia, where about 20-some years ago, a bunch of gunmen rounded up the Supreme Court, as you may recall, took them all into a room and shot them to death. On the one hand, you had the narco drug lords. On the other hand, you had the leftist guerrillas trying to take down the government of Colombia. And some very brave leaders in that country stood up and said, over our dead bodies. And we rallied to help them. We rallied to help them. And the Colombia today is not a Jeffersonian democracy, but a country that could have failed, could have gone down big time, did not. And one of the things that we did, and one of the people who's an architect of this was Joe Biden. We said to the folks in Colombia, we said to them, have y'all ever heard of Home Depot? They said, well, yes. And they have a saying at Home Depot, you can do it, we can help. And what we said to Colombia, you can do this, we can help. We can help. How do we help Colombia? Here's how we help Colombia. We help train their police. We help train their military. We provided Black Hawk helicopters so that they would give them the kind of mobility to go all over the country, not mountainous areas, and track down the bad guys and bring them to justice. Those are just some of the ways that we provided. We said, you're not collecting any money from your elites, your taxes. You got to collect. If we're going to put up money to help your country, damn it, you've got to put up money too, and you've got to raise it as well. We helped them figure out how to do that. How to do that. And when Barack Obama and Joe Biden became president, a number of years ago, president and vice president, and Colombia was doing reasonably well. Santos was about to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. But Barack Obama and Joe Biden had a conversation, and President Obama said to his vice president, you know, do you think you may be able to kind of take that magic that's going on down in Colombia at the time and instill it in Central America and the Northern Triangle? What can we borrow from that? And that's what we did. We identified, with the help of the folks in those countries, 3 pots of money that we needed to make investments in: to fight crime and violence, to fight corruption, and to provide for hope and economic opportunity. And the deal was, it's not going to be all the U.S. doing this on our own, but it's going to be a bunch of other countries helping out as well, because they have a dog in this fight as well. It's going to be nonprofits, NGOs. It's going to be companies. It's going to be businesses that have a stake in this as well. And we made a commitment about, I think Barack said, why don't we put $1 billion in this the first year? We put in $750 million. And after each year after that, it went down and down and down. In the last administration, a lot of the money that was appropriated by the Congress didn't even get spent on the kinds of things that they felt would actually be helpful in terms of addressing the root causes. And instead of addressing those root causes, they reprogrammed in the last administration a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars to use for other purposes, including building a wall. A friend of mine has a saying, you can build a 15-foot wall, but somebody will come along with a 16-foot ladder and get over, or somebody will go under it as well. Let me just cut to the chase. What do we need to do now? If we continue, and God bless it, we saw some wonderful people today doing the Lord's work with a lot of kids in a situation, taking a handoff from CBP, where kids are in tough situations, very tough conditions. And they are now in much better conditions, much more humane conditions, learning, being fed, clothed, and reunited with their loved ones. That's great. But if that's all we do, if that is all we do, address the symptoms of these problems, take in the least of these and try to help them reconnect. If that's all we do, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're going to be still doing this. We're going to be still doing this. We got to be smarter than this. What I love to quote Einstein. Einstein used to say, what is the definition of insanity? Do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Einstein also said, in adversity lies opportunity. In adversity lies opportunity. I'm just going to give you a short list of some things that I recently shared with Lon Klain, who's the President's Chief of Staff, things that we can do, ought to do in order to help address the root causes. Let me just mention a few of them. Put somebody in charge. Put somebody in charge of our overall effort. Not day to day, like going to work every day, punching a clock and being in charge in that way. No. 30,000 feet. Somebody that can reach out to the presidents of the countries down there, get them on the phone, give them a good talking to if they need it. Somebody can call other major companies and say, we'd like for you to consider investing in Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. Somebody can call presidents in other countries and say, we're doing this, X, Y, and Z. We need for you to help out in this too. Kamala Harris has been chosen for this job. It's really a job that Joe used to have. He did it well, and I've known him for quite a while. We served together in the Homeland Security Committee. I think he's picked the right person for this job. Second thing we need Senate-confirmed ambassadors. Senate-confirmed career ambassadors. We haven't had a confirmed Senate-confirmed ambassador in Honduras for over 3 years. Over 3 years. Shouldn't be a surprise that we've seen Juan Hernandez, the president of that country, go to hell in a handbasket. Brother in prison, he's probably going there as well. Jimmy Morales over in Guatemala, same kind of situation. He ran for office and he said, neither a thief nor a crook. He turned out to be both. And we didn't do anything about it. We didn't do. We had an administration kind of looked the other way. Well, they threw a woman named Thelma Madonna, Attorney General, who put a lot of bad guys in prison in that country. She tried to run for president. They tried to put her in prison. We didn't do anything about it. We just let it happen. We looked the other way. We can't do that. We have to reestablish oversight to make sure that the money that we're appropriating, a lot of money that we're appropriating, is actually used for the purpose that it's intended. Congressional oversight by the State Department. And those ambassadors I talked about nominating, Senate-confirmed career ambassadors, cream of the crop, we need to surround them with excellent people, excellent men and women who know those countries, know what to do, come to work early, work hard, work late. Unless the support of other nations, NGOs, and businesses, we're putting money into these three pots, they need to do the same. And we need to hold them and job on them until they do. Last thing I'll say is this. One of the things I most enjoy as governor, one of the things I still enjoy is helping create a nurturing environment for economic opportunity, for jobs. I love doing that. And we created more jobs in Delaware in the 8 years I was governor than any 8-year period in the history of Delaware. I didn't create one of them. But we focused on creating a nurturing environment. And what we need to do in those three countries is help create a nurturing environment. Not all on us, but to help create that nurturing environment. Infrastructure, especially roads, highways, and bridges, so people can actually get their crops, their products that they're raising out of the country to markets in that part of the world and other parts of the world as well. Two more things, message. A message of hope. A message of hope to the people who live in these three countries, who are in despair in those three countries, that help is on the way, hope is on the way. And to give them an idea, let them know that it's not all daisies and roses here in the United States. It's not an easy path. And for those who say you can't do this, we can't do this. It's too hard. We got to do it. We need the leadership to do it. And we can't give up. The worst thing we can do is just step up and do the right thing for a short period of time and then kind of walk away from it. Lose concentration. Gets taken away by some other. This has to be sustained. This has to be sustained. Not over months, years, decades. That's what happened in Colombia when they were going in a really good direction. And we need that kind of. And you know where that comes from? It comes from leadership. It comes from leadership. Leaders who believe that we have a moral obligation to the least of these in our society. Leaders who believe that we ought to treat other people the way that we want to be treated. Leaders who believe we can always do better. Everything we do, we can do better. I'll stop it there. Thanks so much.
We have time for just a couple questions.
Question.
So,
The Associated Press just released a poll saying that the Biden administration's approval rating of the handling of the situation is only 25%. Is the message being lost? What needs to happen?
Yeah. I just outlined, I think, a series of steps that we ought not just take, but actually amplify and make it clear and do them. Again, not just for weeks, not just for months, but for years. And the American people, a lot of people don't know what we're doing. A lot of people don't have any idea what the Alliance for Prosperity is and why it's relevant, why it's right. They don't know it's modeled after something that did work, Plan Colombia. We just have to explain it. And then we have to get some results.
Yeah, number 7 of your list was message.
Message.
Do you think the message is being lost?
Well, we've been focusing on COVID. The president's been focusing on. Oh,
Go ahead.
The president has been focused on getting our economy running again.
Get people vaccinated.
He's been focusing on saving lives by ensuring that we have vaccines for every American who wants one. We've been focusing on ensuring that we have testing available. He's been in office for 2.5 months. We are building this infrastructure because there was no infrastructure left from the previous administration. It does not surprise me that the American people does not know about the work that we have been doing in the region. It does not surprise me because I have been standing alone for the last 4 years, trying to hold those governments accountable, writing letters to the Trump administration, highlighting all of the issues that were happening there. It is not surprising that the people here don't know that we have 2 former attorney generals from Guatemala here asylum seekers. Why? Because the strong men took over. Corruption took over in the region. Yes, messaging, we have to talk about it. But right now, in our communities, we're talking about saving lives, and that's what we have been focused on.
So I want to add something super quick. So what we have seen, unfortunately, over the last 4 weeks, for 4 weeks, the national media has been focused on, did Joe Biden being a nice guy cause this? I have been urging the national media to help us focus on solutions. Just a week or two ago, we had 18 senators parachute into a border community in South Texas. I urged the media to ask them, what have they done to bring forward solutions? And so we are going to focus on solutions. That's what every CODEL that members of the Democratic Party are going to have in El Paso, whether hosted by me or whether hosted by a colleague. Our focus is going to be solutions. And I agree with Representative Torres. You know, the president has been in office for a very short period of time. He had no transition. The transition for President Biden was an insurrection, an attack against the United States of America. After that, he was not able to quickly confirm his Department of Homeland Security secretary for a number of reasons. But we are here now. And I think it's a valid question. And I would ask everyone engaged on this issue, help hold us accountable by asking us what the solutions are. The solutions as laid out by the senator, the solutions as we have we're each bringing forward, because there's so much at stake for us as a country. There's so much at stake for our Western Hemisphere, and it is on all of us to make sure that we get this right.
Can I just add a couple of thoughts? Messaging. You turn on the media right now, the news, and you think this has never happened before. It happened under President Trump. It happened 10 years ago. These are still not record high numbers. But if you just focus on the moment right now, why is Biden a nice guy? Because he's following the law? Because he stopped family separations? I would say, Mr. Biden, you're deporting too many people right now. You're not reporting on that. Okay? That's not your message. But at the end of the day, myself as a legislator, I'm going to focus on the long-term solution. Senator Carper laid it out very well. Long-term solution beginning now. Thank you.
And why is that more effective as opposed to what the Republicans say it's soft? Why is care and compassion not only better in your opinion, but more effective?
Because it's the law. It's the United States law. It's international law. You don't separate children from their parents. That is unacceptable. We are doing things that are human, that are acceptable to our society, to Americans, and we are succeeding. But again, remember under President Trump, the attacks on the wall? Remember that? People trying to, have you seen that? So does that make President Trump a softie? Focus on the long-term solution.
And I think just a very quick response to that as well. So we saw over 4 years cruelty as a deterrent. It didn't work. It in fact made us a less secure nation. It eroded our American values, and it created the kind of chaos that makes the challenge even more difficult to address immediately. And so an approach that is rooted in our values, that takes the long view as well as the short view, really is what all of us deserve.
So going off of that idea of the long-term solution, Senator, as you said, you can't just treat the symptoms. You have to go outside of the United
I
States.
think everybody in the room probably agrees with that.
Right. But what we're hearing from Border Patrol is that the symptoms, to use your own analogy, are overwhelming right now. They need support now. They don't have enough manpower. They don't have enough resources. What do you recommend in the short term for them?
What we have sought to do is provide a relief valve. As children show up, take it into custody. CBP, they're doing work. They're not trained to do this stuff. They don't want to do this. They want to be able to turn these kids over to the Department of Health and Human Services, where they can be treated by people who are trained to do this for a living. As it turns out, one of the things we actually learned out today was rather encouraging, was the ability of the Department of Health and Human Services, through their own employees, through the folks, the entities that they're hiring, contractors, they're actually able to take the handoff of more folks from CBP more quickly than was the case a month ago or 2 months ago. We're actually making some progress here, and that's for me. I think that's encouraging. But again, that's symptoms. That's symptoms of the problem. I don't know. I've been in 20 years in the Senate and governor and congressman and treasurer before that. I've been in a lot of hearings. One hearing I will never forget. About 2 or 3 years ago, early in the Trump administration, and we had the only Roman Catholic priest I ever remember being a witness. I don't remember. There have been a lot of hearings. We all had a Roman Catholic priest as a witness. And I thought, what is he doing here? And you know what? He told us this. He said, here's what is going on at the board. Here's what's happening. He said, think of a family in a house, their house, and the fire department. There's no fire in the house. The fire department comes to the house and starts a fire and leaves the house and locks the door behind them. And the priest said, this is what's going on. This is what this country is doing. We are complicit in the misery of these people down there, given our addiction to drugs. And we're not going to kick those addictions quickly. Drugs are trafficking through this part of the world. People are being bought and sold for drugs. The drug trafficking, it's just corrupting one country after another. Jimmy Morales, Juan Hernandez. And now we're seeing it with Bukele, which is unbelievable. I know them all. And I remember how promising they were when they were first in place. And they've been corrupted in an awful way. And for the last 4 years, we have not had anybody as an ambassador or in the State Department or the Vice President or the President say, damn it, to these leaders down there, stop it. You got to stop. We're not going to tolerate this. And be strong and firm about it, and consistent day after day after day. That's what it's going to take. Leadership.
Let me just tell you directly on your point, enough personnel, okay? This is not new. I said on Homeland Security, we've had hearings. How do you hire these officers? A lot of them can't pass the background checks. The issue of hiring people, we funded the positions, we're trying to fill them.
I have one question. Do you guys plan to, ask the president or the vice president to come to the border themselves now?
I have. And we've got to do this in Spanish. Your plan, Senator Norma, do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it? And then we've got to go. En español, el plan que nosotros todos apoyamos, primeramente necesitamos más embajadores. Por los pasados 3 años, muchos de estos países no han tenido embajadores para poder trabajar juntos en colaboración. Número 2, necesitamos invertir dinero, pero también necesitamos luchar contra y trabajar contra la corrupción. Vamos a necesitar un plan para eso. So let's see, you talked about ambassadors, about fighting corruption.
We can't do it alone, we have NGOs.
Tenemos que colaborar con otros países. No es solamente nuestra obligación. Tenemos que trabajar juntos con otros países. En el mismo modo que nos estamos involucrando en otros países lejos de nosotros, tenemos que trabajar con los países aquí que son nuestros vecinos y trabajar juntos. And what was the other thing, Norma? That you mentioned?
Home Depot. Shop at Home Depot.
Oh, accountability. También tenemos que asegurar que la transparencia existe para nuestro plan. Y el senador nos dio el ejemplo de Colombia, donde nosotros trabajar con ellos es algo que sí se puede hacer y nosotros podemos ayudar. You all, thank you so much.
Can you confirm a federal grant, the $1.8 billion federal grant to house migrants and families in hotels?
I don't know how much it is, but the federal government is finally taking on the responsibility that local communities have taken on for decades.